welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, we talk about all things homesteading, homemaking, and just our journey to a slower, more simple life. Today's video is going to be really fun because I am going to show you tons of different recipes on how to make homemade condiments. Condiments may be something that we don't think about that much. Maybe we do a lot of home cooked meals already, but we don't necessarily know what we're putting on it with some condiments. And while I do not make my own homemade condiments all the time, because there are actually some brands out there that do make good condiments that don't have things in it that we might not necessarily want to eat, I still think it is fun to know how and to do it every once in a while. In other videos I have showed you how to do a few of these recipes as I do use them, but I thought it would be great to just compile a bunch into one video so that if you ever need to, you can come back and reference for the ingredients. So with that, let's just jump into the voiceover where we make all of these condiments. So the very first recipe we're going to start off with is one I've made tons of times that I always make homemade, and that's just mayo. And all it is a raw egg, some lemon juice, some vinegar, I like to use white vinegar, a little bit of mustard, a little bit of salt, and then a cup of any oil you like. I like to use avocado. Olive oil is a little strong for me personally. And then all you do is whip it. I like to use the immersion blender. If you don't have one, a regular blender is fine. But I immersion blender it and just add the oil a little bit at a time, and that makes it even better. But I always make this recipe homemade, and it's so easy, and I just whip it up whenever I need it right away. I wouldn't say it's the best for storing, but it's really great. You'll notice some of these recipes I have a little more specific amounts of ingredients, while others are just telling you what to have and not giving you measurements. That's because I don't really have measurements, because depending on how much I'm making or flavors that you like, you just really gotta play with it. So I encourage you to just add these things together and taste as you're going. Always add less and then you can add more. So as you can see, we are now working on mustard, and mustard's super easy. You just take mustard powder. If you don't have mustard powder, just grate up some mustard seed in your blender. We need water, some sugar, some salt, a little bit of turmeric, paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, and you're just going to simmer this on the stovetop for about 20 minutes, and that's your mustard. This is definitely one of the recipes that play with it a little bit to get that flavor you really love. Now that we have mayo and mustard, let us make a honey mustard, which is only 4 ingredients. You might think it'd be 2, but it is 4. And all you need is some mayo, some mustard, a little bit of lemon juice, and some honey. And just mix that together, and it turns out really good. You can play with the amounts. Next up is ketchup, which is super simple. You just take tomato paste, sugar, and vinegar, and that is the main combo. And additionally, you add some garlic powder, some onion powder, and some salt. And that is another one you're going to simmer for 20 minutes. You can definitely make ketchup straight from tomatoes, but it just takes those hours of processing the tomatoes down. So if you're going for the quick version, just go ahead and use some tomato paste. But it turns out really great. And now we're on to Worcestershire. I think I said that right. It's so hard to say. But this one I am going to give more specific ingredients just because there's so much to it. But definitely still feel like you can play around with it. We're going to do a cup of apple cider vinegar. I would probably actually do a little less next time I make it. A 1/3 cup of molasses. A 1/4 cup water. 3 tablespoons lemon juice. 1.5 tablespoons of salt. A 1/2 tablespoon of mustard powder, a teaspoon onion powder, 3/4 of a teaspoon ground ginger, a half teaspoon black pepper, a fourth teaspoon garlic powder, fourth teaspoon some chili powder, a fourth teaspoon of cinnamon, and then just a pinch of ground cloves as well as cardamom. And then you're going to go ahead and bring all these ingredients together in a boil. This is not going to get thick, however, it's going to stay pretty liquidy, but it'll be all good and mixed and ready to go. Now we're going on to barbecue, and we're actually going to use quite a bit of the stuff that we've already made. So you start with some ketchup and brown sugar, then a little bit of molasses, apple cider vinegar, some water, some of our Worcestershire, mustard powder, paprika, garlic powder, pepper, onion powder, chili powder. I like to personally add a little bit of orange juice. You could also use pineapple juice. And then I add some cornstarch because for a barbecue sauce, we definitely want it to thicken up nicely. And this we take over to the stove and make sure it gets to a nice boil because cornstarch only works if we really cook it. And then it will be ready to go. This one is super easy as well, and I promise you don't need to be grossed out by it. It is completely a natural process. This is making your own sour cream, and all that is a 1/4 cup milk, a cup of heavy cream, and then a couple tablespoons of lemon juice. And all you do with that is mix it together and leave it on the counter with something to protect it so no bugs get in, and leave it overnight. Doing that, the cultures come through and it becomes very, very delicious sour cream by the next morning. And then you're definitely going to want to bring it in and refrigerate it. And the final recipe today is going to be homemade ranch, and we're going to use a 1/2 cup of our mayonnaise and a 1/2 cup of our sour cream we just made. The recipe that I followed called for a 1/2 cup of milk, but I would definitely not use this much milk, maybe not any milk. It made it way too liquidy for me personally, so I would probably leave the milk out altogether, or just a splash to make it a little bit more loose. We're gonna do a teaspoon of dried dill. I just had dill seeds and that worked too. A 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, a 1/2 teaspoon garlic powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and a little pinch of pepper. And then just add some lemon juice to taste, so around 1 to 3 teaspoons would probably be good. And then you have a delicious ranch. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you like this and would like to see more, please consider subscribing. I post new videos every Monday as of right now. And yeah, if you're interested in anything about homesteading, homemaking, and just living a more simple, natural lifestyle, then come along with me because I have more in store. But thanks again for stopping by, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye!